So I've got up here for our next speaker, Mr. Tim and Julian of Advanced Agent Marketing. Title of their training today is How to Not Go Broke Selling Insurance. Obviously an important concern. Tim and Julian have presented several times at our events. Always do a really good job, and let's give them a hand. Thank you very much, guys.
David brought us in here to talk about leads and lead generation. Honestly, there's just no way I'm gonna be able to give you guys like anything that's applicable in an hour and a half or hour 15-minute presentation. So I kind of took my own spin on it, and we're gonna talk about how to not go broke selling insurance. Hope you guys are okay with that. So show of hands, how many people know what this is? Turtle. Beautiful. Now, the problem is most insurance agents are like a turtle. What do turtles do? Hide in their shell. It's okay though, because this used to be me too. I was hiding in my little insurance shell of being in an IMO and being captive. So for those of you that don't know Julian and I's story, so he recruited me into the insurance business. He was waiting tables, got picked up. That sounds weird. And we were recruited to a face-to-face model where we would do direct mail gift cards. So basically, they would send out all these direct mail leads. It was like $5 Walmart gift card, whatever, send it back. And we'd go out, drive 2.5 hours to our area, pull a bunch of like recycled leads and stuff, go knock on doors, everywhere you can imagine in middle of nowhere, North Carolina, from mountains to the coast. And it was fun for like the first month or so. And then it started to get pretty crazy because we weren't making any money. Julian, he'll touch on this a little bit later, but his training was just go out there and get them, baby. Like he didn't even know what underwriting was when he first started. So about as green as they could possibly come is how we were. So chargebacks obviously came. We didn't really know what those were. They were downplayed. It's like, chargebacks, that doesn't really happen though. It's like, if you're a bad agent, you might get chargebacks, but it's not common. My CRM was literally tally marks on a paper lead card. I'm sure some of you guys can still relate. Yeah, I'm seeing a few faces light up. I'm calling you out. Yeah, tally marks on a lead card. That was pretty rough. That was the CRM. No number tracking whatsoever. So didn't know how many doors I was hitting. It was just like, I feel like I hit a lot of doors today. And I did, but there was no number, right? The only number we knew was how much AP we were writing, but profit, all that other stuff, no way. So Julian and I were averaging about $5K a week in AP, which is like, it's nothing crazy, but it's pretty solid for beginner agents. But what was wild is like, after doing this for 8 to 9 months, we literally just broke even. Driving, working 6 days a week. Sundays, we'd all hang out because everyone in my friend group was selling insurance, but like no money left over whatsoever. We literally had a friend that went into credit card debt to keep doing the business, and I think he's like still in credit card debt. It's crazy. 2 years later. So one day, we had a realization, an epiphany, so to speak. There had to be a better way, right? Like this can't be what everyone talks about as this great business that makes all these millionaires and most millionaires in history, whatever, right? That can't be it. There had to be a better way, one where we could actually have a life outside of insurance, not driving, literally 24/7. My chances of being in a car accident went from like here, driving around Greensboro, to like here on the road, like 8 or 9 hours every single day. Craziness. One where leads didn't cost $50. Like, actually think about that. As insurance agents, we're like so accustomed to like $50 to $80 leads, but you're literally paying $80 for a person to talk to. So like, that didn't really make sense to me. Also, more efficiency, right? It's not efficient to drive from house to house to house to house to house to house to house and then drive 2.5 hours back home just to break even. It's not efficient at all. And one where we actually made money for working. Seems like that would be pretty solid coming from where we had come from. And then what I realized is that it's actually stupidly simple, like stupidly simple. So we created the 4 golden buckets of insurance. How many of you guys have ever seen like a bucket fountain like this? You guys ever had like, rich people have these things in their front yard, like one bucket flows into the other and then the other bucket and then the bottom and it goes back up? That's how fountains work, pretty cool. Anyway, let me kind of break this down for you guys because when I came up with this, I was like, damn, I feel smart. So anyway, leads up at the top, right? These are your people to talk to. The direct mailers, the Facebook leads, the people in the grocery store that you harass, whatever. Those are your leads, referrals. If you don't have leads, you don't have a business. Pretty simple. If you don't have people to talk to, you can't talk to them, you can't help them, you can't sell them insurance. That one's the easiest. Next up, we have nurture. This is everything that happens between, boom, Miss Jones sent in the $5 gift card lead, she wants a gift card, to she has a policy, right? That's nurture. Oh, sorry. That's everything between lead to conversation. So Ms. Jones sends in the lead on Facebook. Nurture is your dials, your outreach, all that stuff, getting them on the phone to sell them. Sales is just sales. That's conversation to policy, everything in between. Closing, objections, underwriting, the whole application writing process, that is sales. What happens after you sell them? Well, you got to keep them. Otherwise, you're going to get chargebacks, which you don't want. So retention is basically keeping your current clients. And then if you can basically flow someone through all of these 4 buckets, you make profit, which is your income. That's how you pay your bills, guys. Exactly. So let's kind of break this down. So let's talk about bucket number 1, which is leads, right? Most people kind of get stuck on this. A lot of times people have problems with the other 3 buckets and then they blame it on leads. Leads is like the most common scapegoat in insurance. It's unfortunate. But basically it's just getting people into your pipeline. You want people to talk to, people in your pipeline. So there are 3 factors to leads. If you get all 3 of these right, you've solved the lead problem. Easy, literally just 3 things. So volume, how many leads do you have? Do you have enough leads or not enough leads? Or somewhere in between, right? It's a continuum. Quality, which is how good are the leads? A lot of people get stuck on this. I'm going to kind of break down what quality actually is and what that means, because a lot of people kind of get confused on the definition of a quality lead. And then the last thing is cost, right? If you're paying $1,000 per lead, it's going to be harder to be profitable. If you're paying $80 a lead, it's going to be hard to be profitable. So first one we're going to break down is volume. Volume is a very easy equation. The more leads you buy, the more AP you write. Obviously, the better you are at selling, the more AP you may write per lead, but overall, you get more leads, you're going to write more AP. It's very, very, very simple. To see success from like the agents we've worked with, I haven't seen anyone like really do well generating or buying less than 100 leads a week. So you need at least 100 leads a week. So that's volume. Next, we're going to talk about quality. A lot of people get confused on quality, but quality is literally just a function of what they see, which is the ad, for one, or the mailer, and the form they fill out, the qualification, whatever. What they see equals what you get. So if you show them garbage, what are you going to get? Garbage. Bingo. If you show them get 2 free gifts on us, you're going to get, that was about life insurance? Versus if you show them gold, you show them quality, what are your leads going to be? Quality. Bingo. So if you show them an ad that says life insurance for seniors with a bunch of prices on it and click says see if I qualify, you're going to get Mr. Jones, the senior, looking for life insurance, trying to see if he qualifies. Very simple. Cost does not equal quality. This is where people get really confused, especially when it comes to Facebook. I've seen so many people that'll get into like one of our programs, they'll start generating leads, and they're getting leads for like, let's say $6-7, right? And then they're also buying direct mail leads, and it's something psychological where they view that because this lead costs more than that lead, it has to be better quality. But that's not at all what cost does not equal quality. What cost does equal is the cost to generate plus the vendor margin. So if it costs your vendor $15 to generate the lead, they want to double their money, so they want a 50% profit margin. 15 plus 15 equals 30. So you're paying 30 a lead. But if you are generating your own leads, you take out the vendor margin, right? And like, I'm not necessarily arguing that you have to generate your own leads or whatever, but the thing is, like, cost is literally just a function of what it costs them to generate. So even if they have like the shitty ad that you guys saw earlier, that's gonna be a harder lead to generate. So they might be paying more and then adding their margin on top. And so your quality of lead is low, but your cost is insanely high. Another example, what's your name, sir? John? There's a lot of Johns here. So John, let's say I sell you insurance and then you tell your grandma to come to me and buy insurance, right? How much did that cost me? Zero. It was free. It's a referral. How quality is that lead though? Referrals are like the best leads you can get. So cost does not equal quality. Cost is literally just the cost to generate plus the vendor margin. The cost to generate a referral is zero. All right. So from the agents that we've worked with, I've noticed a pattern, right? The most optimal way that we've seen to have your leads is Facebook leads, generate your own, and this is conditional. This is once you kind of get some experience, once you've already started selling. Got you, David, horse with blinders. Once you've kind of already mastered the selling side, you can start to look at generating your own leads, right? So the most optimal way we've seen is Facebook leads and then supplementing and adding in recycled and aged leads. And that's the most optimal way that we've seen people to do it, because you're gonna have your Facebook leads, those are fresh new people. They're also gonna be lower cost because you're generating them yourself. You're taking out the vendor margin, and then you're lowering your lead costs even more with the recycled and the aged leads. All right, so I'm about to bring on my business partner here, Julian Polito. This is one of my best friends of all time and an absolute legend of a business partner. So if you guys could give him a round of applause. Julian Polito is gonna talk about lead nurture.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Tim, for such a great introduction. I thought about doing my Conor McGregor voice getting up here this morning, but I think it's too early for that. So if everybody here will stand up for just 1 second for me, just one moment. I just want to see who we got here, okay? All right, you guys are all good. I just wanted to make sure you were awake. But I'm going to talk about bucket number 2, nurture. Now, before I dive into this, I want to talk about, for a second, a little bit about kind of who we are and rehash that, because Tim told you a little about how we got here. I got picked up in the insurance business. I was waiting tables. I was hungry. I still am. I'm starving. And I saw a clear opportunity here. And at the time, I had less than $1,000 in my bank account. My car broke down 3.5 weeks later, started smoking on the way to buy a new car. And I saw my friends around me going broke, and I was writing a ton of business. My first month, I wrote about 35 to 40 grand. I don't remember the exact number, but I know it was between there. And I was the top on the leaderboard. It was a hype up, sign up, pillage the village, MLM mentality of you're writing so much business, you're on leaderboards, we want you to talk about what you're doing and how you're doing it. And I profited $300 got deposited. That's not profit, that was revenue. So clear frustration, but hustle was the only reason that I continued to go on. And I'm excited to talk to you guys because this presentation is not only gonna help you not go broke if you apply it, it's also gonna help you make money, which nobody talked to us about at the time. So nurturing your leads there's a few ways to do this. And if you nurture your leads, I want you guys to think about the time between when somebody gets a mailer or a Facebook lead or whatever, and it comes back in. There's this weird gap where nobody's talking, right? John, have you ever talked to a lead in between when they got the mailer and not? Probably never, not once. It's kind of weird though, right? Because we're gonna sell this person something and their first interaction is just, hey, do you want life insurance? Are you interested? Right? It's weird. And so when you're using automation or manual outreach, like calling them, right? Follow up for people you've already spoken to, or content. Who here is using content, videos to nurture their leads? Nobody. You know who is? Oscar Gonzalez. He's writing a shitload of business. And so my point here though, and you'll notice that if you look at some of the most successful people in this industry, Sean Mike, David Ford, right? Some of the other cats that are out there, I don't know all of them, but those are two that come to mind that use content to nurture their leads. And so I want to provoke a thought here for you guys to do some things. But let's start with outreach. This would be dials and texts. So John comes in as a lead. I'm going to use John because I'm going to pick on him because I know him. So I'm going to say, John, hey man, saw you just filled out this form, right? Just getting on, maybe I'm getting him on a voicemail, maybe I'm getting him on the phone, maybe I'm just texting him. Hey, I can't talk right now, I'm at work. Great, I'm just responding to that form you filled out. Some form of outreach, we want to establish contact. This is the number one thing that causes agents to fail. You're not reaching out, right? Who here makes over, I know we had a guy come up here yesterday. Who here is making over $200 a day? $100 a day? $50 a day? Okay. So we can see a direct correlation between how much outreach you make and how much success you will have, because without consistent outreach, you will not have success. And so we can look here, we have a little chart. It's very simple. Consistent outreach equals more annual premium, right? This is for telesales. We're talking about dials here for telesales. If you're door knocking, that's okay. But it's the same freaking thing. A door is a dial. Now granted, you can't hit 100 doors in a day. It's not scalable, it doesn't work, et cetera, et cetera. That's fine, we don't have that many hours in the day. But the concept here is clear. The more activity you do, the more outreach you make, the more money you will make. I've seen John call me, text me when we first started talking about how he was going out hitting doors all day. Do you remember? Still does it. I remember when I first started in the industry, 8:30 a.m. I was on the doors and I didn't go home until after 9. I was writing business. Was that profitable? Absolutely not. But that's why we're here to talk about this. So let's talk about how you can see success with dialing in your outreach. You need to make at least $100 a day. If you're not doing that currently and you're trying to be in telesales, that is a hobby. That is not a business, okay? You need to make at least $100 a day. And somebody told me once, if you want to be successful in sales, take whatever they tell you to do and double it. Guy told me that I needed to make $150 a day. I made $300 to $450 when I was starting out in real estate. Didn't make any money there either. Life sucks. But let's talk about the next slide. Automation. Automated emails and texts. Who here wants to make more money working less? Me too. So if you're not using a CRM and you're like I was, working a fat paper stack like this, tally marks with how many times you've door knocked them, and the way that you track your door knocks is checking them off in your routing software like I did, you are losing tens of thousands of dollars a year. That is not a conservative estimate, okay? That's a minimum. That's not liberal in any fashion, okay? So you need to use a CRM with pre-built automations, and you need to be working pre-booked appointments. Why? Oh, well, pre-booked appointments don't show up. It's 30 to 50% sure. But if I get 3 out of 10 people that book an appointment with me that actually show up, that's 3 out of 10 people, that's 30 out of 100 that I don't have to call anymore, that I don't have to door knock anymore. Over the course of the year, how many hours have I saved and how many more people am I able to get in front of because of that, right? Because even if I do get no-showed by the other 7, if I'm a telesales agent, guess what? You work from home. You can just pick up the phone and dial again. If you're getting pre-books face-to-face, you can show up at their house, and if they're not home, call them and ask them why. Automation plus consistent outreach equals big money, big dollar signs, okay? F you. Just kidding. Follow up. Reaching back out to people who were not ready to buy initially. These are some statistics that come from credible sources like HubSpot, Salesforce, Robert Cialdini, true studies that were actually done. Only 2% of sales are made on the first contact. I think I spoke with John after he got into our program. I think I'd spoken with him 5 times before he actually made a move to work with us. David DeFord, we had had 5 or 6 conversations before he even was willing to move forward with us. That's okay. That's a good sign. If they want to move forward with you on the first date, you probably don't want to marry them. So realize that this means that 98% of the people that you talk to are getting sold by somebody else. I'll tell you a quick story. I used to work leads that were on average between 5 and 6 years old. I would pull 25 new. They were 2 to 3 months old. And then for the rest of them, I would pull an additional 150, 175. They started setting limits on me. Recycled leads. They didn't think I could work them all. And I just set myself up a little route and did a little circle for a week or so, and it worked out and it was great. But these were 5 and 6 year old leads, and when I say that, people freak out. Oh my gosh, 5 and 6 year old leads, there's no money there. How did you survive? How'd you make sales? Because people had already put the offer in front of them once and they just couldn't close. That's the 98%. Dude, give me the 5 and 6-year-old leads. You guys work the new stuff. Take the no's. I'll take the yeses later down the line. 60% of customers reject offers 4 times before making a purchasing decision. So let's say that we got Trev in the back. I knock on Trev's door. Hey, Trev, you want to get some insurance? Nah, man, I need to think about it. Whatever. Okay. Why didn't he buy? Let's think about it. The only reason that people don't buy is because there's a discrepancy between how much value they see and the price that they pay. If I said, Trev, let me get you a Ferrari. It'll be 15 grand, brand new, 458, drop top. It's got the sound, it's got the seats, heated and air conditioned. He's buying it. It's 15 grand for a Ferrari. It makes sense. Now, if it's 900 grand for the Ferrari, when market value shows that it's only about 350K, he's getting robbed. And so what we have to realize here is that when these people say no, they are saying no to the offer that you are putting in front of them. And I'll talk more about value stacks in a second, but it is because they do not see the value in what you are offering. There is money in your dead leads, all thousands of them, all of them. Let's talk about content. Videos, emails, texts, social media posts, these are all ways that you can talk to people en masse. So with videos, for example, who's seen David's YouTube channel in here? Raise your hands. If you haven't seen it, don't raise your hand. So the reason why you guys are all here is because David DeFord took the initiative to film a video on YouTube for years and didn't stop. Here are the 3 purposes of content, and you guys have all gotten emails from him, texts from him, videos from him. It builds trust. When you text people and you're not afraid to show who you are, email them, show them a video of you. You're not afraid to hide behind the screen. Most insurance agents are. It makes you seem sketchy. It builds trust. It reminds them you exist. If I text John 12 months from now and I haven't talked to him since, he's gonna, oh, I remember that guy. But it also can educate them. If you're not giving them free value whenever you talk to them, you are no longer a resource. You are a parasite. Don't be a parasite. Because if every time hey John, you wanna get signed up on this program? Hey John, hey man, you wanna buy some leads? I hopped on a few calls with John for a few hours to tell him about some of the things that we did. I hopped on several calls with Trevor, so did Tim, with no ask. No ask. I'm not saying that for any other reason than to illustrate the fact that when you invest in people, they will invest with you. This goes the same for final expense and term. Let's talk about content. Make it once, it lasts forever. I film a video one time, this video right here is gonna go up. Thank you, Bronson, shout out Bronson for filming this video. And I'm done. That's it. It goes on YouTube, it lives forever. So I'm working, well, you guys have to work every single day because you refuse to film videos. I'm working, not 40 hours a week, not 7 days. I'm working 365 days a week, 24 hours a day, no vacation. Anytime that somebody opens social media and wants to hop on YouTube, this video will be there. It will live on. It is easy to automate sending this out. I can text it to you. Hey, John, you're going to get an email from me. You, Trevor, Tim, and anybody else that's registered on any of my email stuff, you will get an email from me, and it'll say, hey, from Tim and Julian. You've probably seen it. It might go to your junk. If it does, move it. And it's going to say, check out this video, man. Here's how you can not go broke selling insurance. But it can also make your job easier when you start selling. Because now I hop on. How many of you guys came to work with David after seeing his YouTube, and it wasn't even, he didn't even, hey, man, I'll get you the best lead. It was just, yeah, if you want to work here, here's what you got. That was for me. It was for Tim, because I remember I talked to so many guys that would tell me, man, they came up, they're spending freaking racking it up on the credit card, doesn't even have their name on it, it's the business's name, and they're telling, man, we got the best lead program, we got the best training, we got the best this, our phones dial faster, our prospects buy sooner, and you will have to make more money this year if you want to work with us. You're going to make the most money you've ever made. He's the only one that didn't have to say that, and all he did was answer my questions, and I said, take my contracts. That's it. Let's talk about bucket number 3, sales, closing prospects into policies. This is actually making money, right? This is probably you right now. This is most agents. Hey man, you probably need some more insurance, man. Let's get you signed up. You know what I mean? Oh, we can just add on an additional $5,000. I don't got to replace it. You're just looking for a sale. You need some money because, well, the compensation plan is not favoring you if you're paying the lead vendor, the IMO, and everybody else first. Let's not forget Uncle Sam. Let's talk about sales real quick. Sales is seduction, not rape. You don't have to force people to do anything. The goal is to get them to decide not to buy. Don't want to buy? Okay. Have a great day, man. We'll talk in 6 months because 98% of sales are made after the first contact, right? You're going to hear from me again. But I just got to get you to decide. And just because it's no now doesn't mean it's no later. Who here has ever asked somebody on a date? Raise your hand if you've asked somebody on a date. Okay, who got rejected on the first ask and then went again? No? Come on now. 100% conversion, says John. I love to see it. That's a salesman. That's a salesman right there. I love it. I love it. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing. And we see this in all facets of life. For somebody who has kids in here, how many times do you have to tell your kids to pick up the dishes before they do it without you having to ask? Some of you are still saying it. Some of you are still saying, get those damn dishes up, man, come on. But that's okay because we just have to get them to decide. We don't have to get them to buy. And so if you keep telling them, if you keep reminding them and you keep getting them engaged to make that decision, he's laughing over here because he's not picking up his dishes. You will get them to do that. I didn't either, man, it's okay. But your job is to consult and educate, not to sell. So when somebody hops on the phone with me to talk about one of our programs, for example, you know what I do? I don't even talk about it. I ask them for every single issue that they are facing in business. You are on a 9-month advance. You are paying out $50 a lead. You're working 70 hours a week. You don't even know what your wife's face looks like anymore because you're always working. You're answering the phone. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And the crazy thing is, you think you're making money because you're calculating your income off of the 12-month advance, not the 9-month advance. Ooh, what about retention though? We'll get to that later in the presentation. But if you consult and educate and you solve all of their problems before they decide to move forward with you, they'll buy every single time because all I do when I talk to someone is I highlight all their problems, I line up all the solutions, and then I ask, would you like to hear about what I can offer you to make sure that this never happens? I'll tell people how they can go buy insurance from somebody else. I'll tell them hey, you want to make sure your daughter's not going to get stuck with this $12,000 bill, right? Yeah, okay. Well, let me show you how this works. Here's what you need to do. Are you familiar with the difference between term and whole life insurance? Do you know the difference between an agent and a broker? Do you know that your health is the reason that you will or won't qualify for one of these insurance policies? And, by the way, did you know that I sell insurance? Did you want to talk about that? But I'm just educating them. I don't ever want to sell them because then they don't trust me. And so people want to believe you. They want to buy from you, so give them a reason. We don't need to, man, let me get you a quote, man. John, let me tell you about this policy, man. Mutual of Omaha just came out with this policy this year, and it's beautiful. It's 20% lower than market price, man. I can save you $10 a month. They don't care. They just want their problem solved, and they want to buy from you. You just have to give them a reason. So you got to check 4 boxes before you can get somebody to purchase from you, and then you will make money. Let's show them real quick, Tim. Let's show them what the 4 things are. The 4 boxes you need to check is that they have to trust you and understand that you have their best interests at heart. How many of you guys have missed a deal that you thought was a laydown and they told you, I need to talk to my husband. I need to talk to my wife. I need to think about it. They don't need to think about it. It's a load of crap, okay? They don't need to talk to their husband. They don't need to talk to their wife. Next time they hit you with that one, if your husband were here, what do you think about this program that he wouldn't like? They'll tell you. Usually it's the price, usually it's you, right? Because you didn't ask the questions beforehand. It's easier to overcome an obstacle than it is an objection. They need to understand the product will solve their problem and believe that it is true. If you guys are talking about every single feature, widget, and et cetera, they don't care. They don't understand it. They will leave confused. They need to understand that it will solve their problem. You just need to talk about how if you pay the small one, they'll pay the big one. And I'm the guy in the middle that makes sure it happens. You just gotta keep that small commitment. Cool? Cool. That simple. They are able to buy. Money. If your prospects are not qualified and you're spending an hour plus talking to people and you don't even know if they got money in the bank, you are losing. Probably hundreds of thousands at that point. Not even tens anymore. I used to sit in houses and I would sell people everything under the sun. I was so naive and young at the time that I thought everybody had money. Who knows what a fixed income is? Okay, who knew what a fixed income was at 20? Yeah, me either. So when I went in the house and I can get you in $500 a month, and they're making $300 extra and they still got to pay rent. Talk about chargebacks. That shit was crazy. But you need to make sure that they have money. If they don't have money, they're not going to stick. And then you're just playing a credit card game now. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's what you're doing. So make sure that when you're talking to these people, they have money. That's how people will stick on the books and you'll get paid. They need to also understand that other people will support that decision. John, if I were to get you set up on this policy today, how do you think that your wife would feel moving forward about you guys no longer having to worry about this? Okay, and when you say that she would feel great, what does that look like? Is she gonna be okay now not having to maybe potentially take out a loan, worry about having to sell the car, maybe downsizing the house next week while she's going through and planning your funeral? Do you think that would be helpful? And so, I don't know if you have kids, but let's say you did, because you're a senior. And so your kids, when they see mom is no longer stressing out about this bill, how do you think that's going to make them feel? They don't even need to know about it. It's easy. It's that simple. And so what's crazy is you're the type of dad that plans ahead. And you're setting a phenomenal example for your kids right now. Let's go ahead and knock this out real quick. We'll get you set up, and I'll even give them a call so they know how to file a claim. That way you don't have to worry about any of this. I'll take care of all of it. And all you got to do is keep that small commitment. Now everybody else supports the decision. Here are the 4 parts of a sale. This is no particular order for my sales gurus in the crowd here, right? So first you need to qualify the prospect. Are they healthy enough? Are they bagged out, or do they have enough money, right? Can they afford it? And are they able to move forward, right? In any capacity, whatever that may be. Do they have a bank account? For some people, do they have a social? Finding the need. So, I'm gonna ask you guys a question real quick. Who here has a car? I thought he raised his hand too. So for those of you that do have a car, let's say that you were walking to work every single day. You live in like DC, downtown DC or something, right? You're living in New York City. If you got a car in New York City, that's more of a headache than it is an asset at that point. You're parking on the street, you're getting dinged left and right. Everything is just honking and screaming and yelling. It's a panic attack. So if I came to you and you're working, let's say you're living in New York. You got to walk 2 blocks to get to work. Do you want a car? No. So when he comes on the lot asking about how much a car is that guy a prospect or is he a suspect? He's a suspect. That guy has nothing to do on my lot, and I've got nothing to do with trying to sell him a car. I'm wasting my time and his time. And now we're both pissed because I'm broke and he's pissed, which means he's not going to refer me anybody. So why would I spend time even doing that? Doesn't make sense. Finding the need. You need to understand that these people have something, someone, or somehow that they need to protect, right? And so we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second, but if there's no why, there's no what. And even if you do sell them, which I've done, God, I've done it, they charge back. And then they don't answer the phone and then they block you. So don't do that. Closing we'll jump into, but you also got to build trust. That goes back to the education aspect. Qualifying. This is health questions and underwriting. If you don't know how to underwrite, God, this was the 35 to 40K, whatever it was. I'll just say 30 for simple math. The 30 that I wrote in the first month, I went door to door every single day, sun up to sundown, freaking busted my knuckles, and I had a paint stain that didn't go away until 3 months ago on my middle finger. I didn't even know what this was. I was 20 years old. I was just hungry, man. I came from selling gym memberships, and I was just, let me at them. I just got to get their banking info and their social. Cool. A dog. And then what I realized is that if you don't actually know what this is, which it seems stupid now, because I've been doing this for a while, but if you don't know what this is, or if you don't know how to do this, you're not going to make any money, and you're working pro bono to waste someone's time, which is frustrating for everyone. Budget, can they afford it? Find out if they got the money. Fact find, super simple. For a lot of you, you guys can just use a survey sheet and pretty much you can pretty much point blank ask a senior what they make a month, and they will tell you most of the time. On top of that, you can also use a 3-option pricing method to fact find their budget, and they'll tell you right there. Finding the need. This is the what, the who, and the how. Those are the 3 components of your why, okay? So why buy? What problem are you solving? John, your wife, you don't want to leave her with a bill, right? Right. It wouldn't make any sense. Till death do us part. Why would I leave you with everything else? The headaches. I want to leave you with the good stuff. The house, the car. Who does it protect? So if you're going in there and you're talking, well, Mutual of Omaha, I could save $10 a month. But it's going to charge back because they don't even know why they're getting it. They don't know who it's protecting because we don't buy insurance for ourselves. We always joke around, insurance isn't bought, it's sold. It's true. It's so true. These little sayings and stereotypes and things exist for a reason. And so you have to understand who it's going to protect, because if you don't, when I'm buying, I want you guys to think for a second, who has car insurance? God, I hate car insurance, man. It's legally required. I can't save money on that if I tried to, unless I sell the car. But they'll come after me if I don't keep it on the car. And to me, I just don't like it. But I need it. Because then if I hit somebody else, if I hit John on his way back from Vegas, beep, little fender bender, gonna cost me like 10 grand these days. Shit's crazy. I'm not gonna put 10 grand on that fender bender. John can take a flying leap, is what most people would say and how most people think. And so the thing is that if we don't understand that it has value, then I'm not gonna buy it, but it's all based off of who I'm protecting. And when you're doing car insurance, it's yourself. Man, and it doesn't matter until you get in a wreck and then you start calling up Geico, State Farm, whoever else. But with life insurance, this is all I talk about. Who? Your wife? Your daughter? What does that look like? Are they losing the house? Are they losing the car? Grocery money? They got that still? Probably not. I mean, dude, if you don't get this, I'm not going to be the one to tell them. You want to tell them? People get really involved when you start talking about who, because that's why they do this. How is it protecting them? Financially. Simple. Right? Very, very simple. So here's how you're going to build trust. This is a little framework that I've used to build trust over time. You can steal it. It's not mine. I've just learned this through experience. Educate them. Provide value. I always talk about consultative selling. Right? This is why I ask people about their business so I can understand what problems they need to solve, and whether or not they move forward with me, I give them the solutions. Simple. Same thing with insurance. If somebody has a problem that they need to fix, they need somebody to get covered, I'm just going to highlight that issue, tell them what the solution is, and if they want to move forward, great. Show them that you care. This is not the Fort method. Dear God, if you are using the Fort method, just stop, throw it away, put it in the disposal, blend it, do whatever you got to do with it, and then burn it. I do not like the Fort method. Do not walk in for the first 20 minutes talking, is that your grandkid on the mantle? Nobody cares at all. Rapport building is done by finding out about their situation and offering them a solution. That's what rapport is. And you can do that by being vulnerable. I'm gonna show you a few examples of being vulnerable here on the next slide, I believe. Well, let's talk about building trust. Educate them, don't pitch them. John, dude, if you get in on this policy right now, man, I can pace it out like 30 days. You'll save $10 a month, man. It's $120 a year. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. It's $120 a year. I remember when I first started, I was selling people, I'll save you $3 a month, man. $3 a month. We'll get that thing down for you. That's like 5 Chick-fil-A meals over the course of the year. They don't care. Confused people don't buy. I actually had a prospect say this to me one time earlier in sales. I don't know what I'm getting. I'm confused, and confused people do not buy. Light bulb. No shit. It's so obvious, you don't even notice it. But if they don't understand that's why I break it down super simple. Pay the small one, we'll pay the big one. Do you have any questions? Does that make sense? Cool. You want to move forward? Great. You don't? Why not? Simple. So if they don't know what they're doing, they don't know what they are getting, they cannot purchase from you. They will not purchase from you. And if they do, I've done it, guys. I've twisted the arm. I've done it. They charge back. So you need to give them information that makes their life easier. Hey, if you get this policy, Esperanza's not responsible for the funeral. Simple. Trev, if you get this policy, man, your old lady's not going to get stuck with the house. No more mortgage. She don't got to worry about the mortgage. She don't got to worry about the car payments. She don't got to worry about the grocery bills. And she can even take some time to mourn. Build trust, show that you care. This is me talking about the Fort method. I'm not going to dive too deep into that. If you're using it, burn it. Please do not talk about the grandkids. This is you. You just got to show that you care. You don't need to be their best friend. You don't need to be their best friend at all. You just need to be a friendly advocate. I don't go into a sale saying that, man, how are your kids, grandkids, your pet snake? Don't care. You got an NFT project? Nobody cares, right? And so it's okay to become friends. It's not okay to try to only make friends. You are trying to help them and solve a problem. My mechanic comes out, and he's nice. And earlier this week, he told me I had a $14 bill. And if he was my homie, I would have said, can we knock anything off that? I asked anyways, but he couldn't. So I got a $37 discount there. But my point is, though, is that he was friendly, but it's not like, hey, man, with the whole little handshake and the song and dance, and we're not drinking beer after work. That's not happening. And it's the same with your clients. Rapport building does not build trust. Proving that you are on their side builds trust. John, if you protect your wife, none of these problems will happen, and it's only $50 a month. How can I help you? I need to sit on the same side of the table, not across from them. I'm not selling them. I'm looking at solutions to problems, and they just told me what it was. Simple, very simple. Build trust, be vulnerable. People that trust people that share things about themselves. I'm telling you guys about how I've been broke. I'm telling you guys about how I've made mistakes, and you probably trust me more for it. David talks about how he quit the first time around. He got back into the business. It's more relatable. It's also true, and it's vulnerable. And sometimes early on, it's hard to share those things. And so people tend to not trust people that are unwilling to share. This is the truth. You don't want to be this guy. This is an AI image, so this guy doesn't actually exist. But you don't want to be this guy because this is an FBI agent. When you're sitting at the table, you don't want to just interrogate these people, right? That's a movie scene, okay? You guys, who's seen Transformers here? You know when they got the guy sitting at the table and he's eating the donuts, and the FBI agent's like staring him down, hustling him, trying to get him to tell him about how he was hacking everything or whatever, and the guy's like crushing under the pressure. He doesn't want to buy anything from that guy. He just wants to get the hell out of that room. And if we want them to buy, we have to realize you are making deposits into the trust piggy bank every time that you share something about yourself. I used to stutter as a kid. That didn't happen, not for me. But for some of you, it might be the truth. I have a friend that was this way. I have 2 dogs. I have 1. That's the truth. I have 1 dog. My girlfriend says I'm messy. She doesn't. Not yet. But I have this autoimmune disease. I don't. That's not my truth. My truth is about a story that whenever I talked to this guy and I was selling Final Expense, this is when I realized that I need to think about it was the biggest crock of shit I've ever seen. Because I came by on a 3-year-old lead in North Carolina in the mountains near Asheville, and I talked to this guy. Beat up house, you got wood floors, I step on it, it's like, right? That thing's moaning, the trailer's creaking, they got like little tree plants growing off the porch. He says, my wife's gonna be here in a minute, I can't talk with you about this. I said, sir, what's wrong, why not? He said, I can't. Okay. Wife pulls into the drive, old car, nice lady. She gets out, hey, Miss Jones, hey, how are you? You wanna talk about some insurance? Oh my gosh, I thought you'd never come. It's been 3 years, keep that in mind. Okay, sure. Well, what's the situation here? What are we working with? He says he can't talk to me. Is this guy funny or something? No, he just gets too emotional. Why is that? He was diagnosed with terminal cancer 3 months ago, and he's got less than 6 months to live. Shit. Okay. Let's look at some options. I get to AIG. He's got $40 a month was unacceptable. The difference between them being able to pay $40 a month to earn 10% interest on that year's premiums for that 6 months that they were going to get was unbelievably impossible for them. $40 a month. To some of us, that's insane. $40 a month? Why not? Because he was paying for chemo treatments on a fixed income. This guy drank a gallon of water every day, worked out 5 days a week, didn't drink soda, didn't eat fried food, and he just got terminal cancer out of nowhere. And so I'm standing here and I said, ma'am, she says, what other options do you have? I said, ma'am, this is the only option. She bawls, breaks down crying. She grabs onto me. It's not aggressive. It's desperate. She's hugging me and she's holding on to me and she tells me, what am I going to do? There's no outcome. There's no solution here in which I can escape losing the house in this car. I just want to be okay. If I'm going to lose my husband in my early 50s, I just want to be okay. My shirt's getting wet. It's soaked in tears, and that memory will never leave me. So if right now you are being stumped that I need to think about it, find a way around it. Practice in the mirror, be a weirdo, be a dork, role play with your friend, your dog, your NFT, whatever it is. But you know what? I said, why didn't you get this 3 years ago? She says, my husband wanted to wait. Fuck. So, let's talk about this. 10% of people are laydowns. 10% will never buy. We're fighting and we're training for this every single day. We train for no. We're not training for, oh, well, you're going to save $10 a month. Anybody can say that. We're training for when they say no. After they tell me no is when the sale starts. So let's look at the progression of a close here. I'm going to ask for the order. John, would you be totally opposed to moving forward today? I need to think about it. Let's go back a little bit, Tim. That's okay, John. That's all right. I completely understand. I think you'd be stupid not to think about it. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah, man. They think they beat me. Yeah, man. I'd be an idiot not to think about it. Of course. Well, I guess I must have went wrong in explaining this somewhere because everybody else in your area has already lunged at this opportunity. And you're able to get it now for $50 a month, and next year it's going to be more expensive. So, John, where did I go wrong in explaining this? I apologize.
Something I usually make decisions with the
Boom. He's not the decision maker. Now I've got to the root of the problem. We're going to go through what this actually looks like and play it out here. So after we ask for the order, let's talk about what a value stack is. Most people hop on the phone or in person and they tell them, hey, it's going to be $15 a month, $20, $50 a month, whatever it is. Silence. Or they might even go the extra step and say, do you want to move forward? What am I getting for $50 a month? Let's talk about what a value stack is. John, if you move forward today on this Royal Neighbors of America policy, not only are you going to make sure, benefit number one, that your wife is going to get paid out and she's not going to have to worry about this funeral. Benefit number two, you're also going to get a free simple will that they will do for you and you can get on their website at your convenience, which, by the way, if you go to an attorney, is going to cost you at least $1,000. You should see what they charge me for breathing. I call the guy and ask him how he wants me to pay, and he charges me. Benefit number three, and you get discounts on your dental, vision, and legal services. I'm not talking about committing felonies, robbing banks, and going crazy. I'm talking about a little seatbelt ticket or something. All of that is going to come out to only $50 a month. Would you be totally opposed to moving forward? Value stack. Assumptive close. Here are two of my favorite ways to get somebody to move forward with something. I like to present it like it would just be stupid not to move forward. John, all three of those options right there, it's only going to be $50 a month. So all I need for you to do for me real quick is go ahead and grab your driver's license, and I'm going to confirm some information with you real quick. So when you say that your name is John, is that John or Jonathan? I'll start filling everything out. John. Just John. Great. Cool. And then I'm going through the rest of it. Soft close. John, would you be totally opposed to moving forward today? Would that be ridiculous? Trev says it has a variation. He says, would it be totally ridiculous for us to move forward today? Softer close. Don't use one-liners and zingers. So many people want to get the perfect script, the perfect objection overcome, the perfect this, the perfect that. Doesn't matter. Ask about the problem. Solve the problem. Ask them if they want to move forward. It doesn't have, there's no trick here. You just have to care. It's that simple. You need to genuinely understand why they aren't ready to move forward. The objection is a smoke screen. You need to get to the root of the problem. Oh, I don't make a decision without my wife. Perfect, John, and if your wife weren't here right now, or if your wife were here right now, what exactly about this program is it that you think she wouldn't like? And then he'll tell me. It's that simple. There are 3 layers to the blame onion. I'm gonna touch on this very quickly because I have a video about it on YouTube. You can check it out, Advanced Agent Marketing. Number 1, or I guess we'll say number 3, is circumstances. People will blame other options. Oh man, I'm on a fixed income. Oh, I'm not home right now. I don't have my checkbook in front of me. Stories. Don't have time for it. The closer you get to the center, which is self, I need to think about it. I need to wait. The closer you can get to self, the closer that you get to moving forward. Others, I need to talk to my wife. I just got to get him to this next layer. That's easy. I'm one step away from getting the deal. So we just got to work them down that line. Writing the app. Know your underwriting and use an underwriting tool. Overcome banking and info and social security number. I'm going to tell you guys how to do that real quick. I get a ton of people that tell me they keep getting hung up on that are in telesales about banking information. As someone who's collected hundreds of banking informations over the phone, I can tell you it's not hard. You just have to walk them through a step. People get nervous, they get antsy when they don't hear steps. So I'll say step 1, who do you bank with? Wells Fargo. Great. My system automatically populates that routing number for me. Did you want to write that down? What other insurance agent has a system that populates the routing number for them? None. That makes you seem so legit, it's insane. These people will freak out when they hear that shit. John, I've got your routing number that's pulled up right here. Do you want to go ahead and write that down in case you don't have it? Sure. They're so flabbergasted that you even have that. They're caught off guard. Great, all I need is your account number. I'm ready when you are. Where do I find that? Blank check. Onboarding form your bank gave you. Online banking. You can call your bank and get it. Some of these older people know it by heart. But now I don't seem like a wacko. Let's talk about social. Man, if I'm going to make an ask, I'm going to tie it to a benefit. I'm not going to say, hey, John, let me get your social. Hey, John, I just need your social for me to move forward to get paid. That's lazy. That's so lazy. It's insane. Let's talk about what it actually looks like. They need to know that this policy is going to pay out to the right person. John, all I need for us to move forward right now is your social. That way your wife doesn't have to worry about that $12,000. I'm ready when you are. Mic drop. That simple. That simple. Over the phone, this is the best way that I've found to do it. You will still get hung up on sometimes. Some people are just wackos. It happens. Let's see the next one. Filling dead space. Man, it's awkward when I'm filling out the application. It's silent. People just start hanging up. Okay. Narrate your actions. This is for particularly over the phone. And John, so the next thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to flip to the next page in the application, and while we're waiting for it to load, I'm going to write some stuff down here real quick. So what I'm writing down here is I'm writing down your quote, and I'm talking the whole time over what I'm doing. If I'm doing the dishes, man, I'm using my right hand to wash this dish while the sink water is running, and I'm using that soap to make sure this sucker gets clean. Narrate your actions. Closing. Recap everything you guys did. Hey, John, so what we did here today is we got your wife covered for $12,000 in coverage, and that's going to be effective as of the 3rd when your billing comes out. I need you to save my contact. Here's a digital contact card with my first and last name, my company name, my phone number, my email. Is it okay if I add you to the do not call list real quick so you don't get a bunch of spam calls from these wackos that are trying to sell you something? Is that okay for me to do? Can I do that? Of course. Great. So you're going to get your policy in about 5 to 10 business days, depending on how fast your mailman is and whether or not he's on vacation. But when you get that, what I need you to do is I need you to call me, and if you don't, I'm probably going to call you anyways because you're not going to get rid of me. I'm your guy for life. And on top of that, I want you to make sure that you actually have your name spelled correctly, that you actually have the coverage amount done that correctly, and that you leave it in a spot that your wife is going to remember it. Do you have like an important place drawer? Yes. Great. Put it there. Boom. And John, how do you feel that we were best able to help you today? Oh, we got my wife covered and this and that, and great, great. Who do you know that might be struggling with their wife not being covered? Oh, well, my brother. Gotcha. And tell me a little bit more about that situation. Do you think we'd even be able to help them? Or he might not qualify. What do you think? Okay, gotcha. And then I'm just going to ask for their info right there. It's that simple, guys. You just have to do it. So, Mr. Tim here is going to go over retention real quick. Thank you for your time. I know it's valuable. I really appreciate it. And we're going to wrap everything up here after this one.
All right. This holds a place near and dear to my heart because, God, I swear, when I was selling face-to-face for a while, whenever I would get a notification on my phone, right? Vibrates, check it. Boom. 9 out of 10 times it was an email from a carrier, payment lapsed. Damn, it's the worst. So I'm gonna arm you guys with the tools. You can't eliminate chargebacks, but you can reduce them. So raise your hand in the room. I know some people might be newer agents, but who here has had a chargeback? Both hands. Okay. You're gonna like this part. Awesome. So a lot of people have had chargebacks. They're the worst. Part of it is your fault. I hate to tell you. Some of you guys are like this. My responsibility ended at ka-ching. My responsibility ended when you e-signed that app and I'm gone. Ghost. Can't do that. So, touching on chargebacks. 10% of people are always gonna charge back. Laws of nature, right? If I jump, I'm gonna come back down. It's gravity. 10% of people are always gonna charge back. If you do things right, 60% of people will not charge back. A lot of times people that buy insurance, they actually want it. The 30% is kind of what we're fighting for. So all these tactics that I'm gonna go over, the 60%, that's just doing the basics. The 30% to get you from 60 to 90, that's what we're gonna go over, and that's where you get some superpowers with retention. So 90% retention. Who here would be happy with 90% retention? I know I would. So that's obviously the goal. So there's 4 ways to solidify a sale. Who wants to know the 4 ways to solidify a sale? Raise your hand. All right, let's get into it. So the first one is the relationship you build on the front end, right? This is everything Julian was talking about with the building of the trust. You're not their creepy insurance agent friend that comes in the house and is like, nice dog. Is that that's your grandson? Like it's weird, right? So that's kind of the showing that you're their advocate, doing things on their behalf. You know, maybe you have to call their carrier to make sure they have the right policy. You're in their corner. That's all this stuff, right? You can also send birthday cards, believe it or not. I get letters from my car insurance guy. I'm not going to switch. Like I actually do, and I haven't switched. But there's actually a way. I'm going to talk about this briefly, and then for all of our students, like we kind of go into a way to automate that, but I'm going to cover it a little bit. And then also signing up their family and referrals is actually a great retention tactic. The more they share you, the more they're invested with you, right? So on the birthday thing, basically what you do, if you have a CRM, you can do, who here has heard of Zapier? It's like automation, yeah. So basically what you can do is whenever your client has a birthday, obviously you have all your clients' birthdays because you need it to sign them up. Whenever their birthday comes, it sends a zap to this app called Handwritten, where it makes a handwritten birthday card and sends it to your client. It costs like $3. And that will get you a ton of referrals and help you keep policies. So next thing we're going to talk about is perceived value. Now there's a difference between value and perceived value. Value is what it actually is worth. Perceived value is how much they perceive it's worth. So whenever you buy insurance, you're really just buying an idea, right? It's like, oh yeah, if I die, my kids are going to get this check, or my wife or whoever, and they'll be good. But it's just a thought. They don't really have anything other than the policy. So there's a few things that you can do, and I know we're kind of short on time here, otherwise I'd go into like the story of my first policy I sold, 3 apps in one house, they all charged back, and I was like best friends with this guy, had a beer with him, whatever, I was 19, don't tell anyone. But basically, he didn't understand what he had, and he didn't really feel like he had anything. So some other sleazebag came behind me and was like, no, you actually don't even have insurance. And he believed him. But whose fault was it? Was it his? No. Was it the sleazebag insurance agent? Kind of. But it was really my fault because I didn't explain it well enough. If he had an explanation of the policy outside of the policy, because let's be real, nobody is reading that thing unless you're an insurance agent, he probably would have kept it. Also, you can do bonuses. I've seen like the Lincoln Heritage agents. Who's came behind a Lincoln Heritage agent? I know I have. They leave like the burial guides and the shopping plans. Everyone loves that. Like they freaking love it. So if you can incorporate things like that, right? Life insurance, just an idea. Give them something with utility, something they can touch, they can hold, they can feel it. Makes it feel more real. Otherwise, it's just like fugazi fairy dust, right? Another thing too, make sure the value of them having the policy is not just their beneficiary getting a death benefit. How are you as the agent? And like, I've talked to like the old company I used to work at, there was a guy that would call a client every day. And like, that's great, but once you get enough clients, that's tough. That's really tough to do. So the cool thing is you can start to automate a lot of this, like with AI and all this stuff that's coming down the pipeline, you can automate a lot of this like servicing side of being an agent. Next thing is communication. The single biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it's taken place. Well, I called them, I talked to them on the phone, and I set them up with their policy, and then I made sure that they got it. On their end, they got 2 phone calls, and $131.16 is coming out of their bank account. That's not communication if you're paying. That's 2 phone calls, and some guy made a commission on me. So you have to go above and beyond with communication. You need to make sure that they feel like they're being communicated with, not that you just checked off a couple boxes with a few phone calls. Nobody has ever charged back because their agent over-communicated. Maybe there's a limit to this. I've never seen it. If you hit this limit, you might just be annoying. If you call them like 16 times in a day, you're probably over-communicating, but no one ever charges back because their agent talks to them too much and tells them too much about the policy. Doesn't happen. Your client should not have any problems getting a hold of you to ask questions. Granted, there are those, clients that just call you for no reason. Maybe you don't want to serve them, but whatever, right? But they should never have an issue. Like, they should have your contact saved. They should have business cards. It's like, hey, I need to get a hold of Joe. Boom, business card, call, answer. Reaching out to clients, automation, reaching out to beneficiaries, those are all parts of communication. Next thing, this is my favorite part, is I like to call it building a moat. Who here knows what a moat is? Like castle in the middle, little river around it, some crocodiles in that thing, right? You don't want to cross a moat. It's just like, surely you'll die. So how do we build a moat around our policies so that other agents don't come behind us and replace our business? Because the only thing worse than a chargeback is a replacement notice. Because it makes us feel like we didn't do our job, or that the client thought we didn't do our job, but 90% of the time you did. So there's a few ways you can build a moat. I can't take credit for this. This was Julian's thing that he picked up, is putting everyone on the do not call list. Who here has ever heard a prospect complain they get too many phone calls? Every single senior gets too many phone calls. We just touched on adding extra value. Adding them to the do not call list literally takes 2.5 minutes. And now you go from the guy who sold me insurance to the guy who sold me insurance and cut down on my phone calls. Also, when other agents come behind you, let's say John calls someone I just signed up. Ring, ring. Hello, is this Miss Jones? Why are you calling me? I'm on the do not call list. Boom. Now John's a scammer and I'm the good guy, and John's trying to break the law. Also, make sure that you go above and beyond with telling them to call you if they have any questions. Questions are like the gateway drug to chargebacks. Well, I don't know how this part works. What happens if this happens to me? And does my daughter get, what if I want to add another, all those questions, they should be able to get them answered. So make sure, they should get annoyed by the amount of times you tell them to call you if you have any questions. Business cards too, very simple. Magnetic business cards, you can send them in the mail, put them on the fridge. Digital business cards too, you can literally text someone your contact card, because a lot of these people, they get a phone call from you, and then they look back through their missed calls list, and you're just another telemarketer that called them. They don't know how to find your number. So if they have you saved as their contact, make them save you as a contact while you're on the phone with them, and if they have any questions, boom, I can get in contact with you. Last part is sowing seeds of mistrust. So this is something I used to do in every single house. And I would basically kind of go through this whole spiel where it's like, look, I know we got everything set up for you today. I just want to make sure that I kind of warn you of this, because there's a lot of people that are in this business that don't really take it seriously. They're kind of part-timers, or they don't really understand the inner workings behind a policy, and they'll come behind and try to replace business for no reason, right? There's a lot of scammers out there. I know a lot of people have seen on the news about people being scammed. So my ask of you, Ms. Jones, is if anybody calls you on the phone and they're like, hey, I'm the servicing agent on this policy, blah, 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 I just need to take a look at it, or this or that, you know the deal, right? Make sure to call me before anything else. And this is after I've done the do not call list. I'm already the good guy. If anyone else comes behind me, I've set it up to where they seem like they're an ill actor or a bad actor, and I'm protecting them. That's the frame that you want to leave your clients with. So here's a visual to kind of explain that. Your client is in the castle. You build the moat, do not call list, don't trust them, don't trust the other agents, business cards, whatever. And then when the other agents try to cross the moat, they get chased away. Awesome. That's going to wrap up the presentation. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to check out our YouTube channel, Facebook group, we post a ton of stuff in there, free value. Also, the recorded presentation will be put on our YouTube channel. You can scan this massive QR code. I know Julian's probably passed out some business cards as well. And that's the best way to get a hold of us. Now, last thing here, if you are doing between 3 to 5K AP per week and are looking to scale to the next level, maybe you're writing a bunch of business, but you're just not profitable. There's a few things. We touched on the 4 golden buckets. Our entire program is basically implementing these different processes to help you go from writing business and making no money to writing business and making money. So if you guys are interested in learning more about that, you feel free to scan that QR code. Julian's gonna be passing out business cards. Hop on a call with us and see if you're a good fit. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys, and thank you for your time.